Hi there. Today I'm so excited to welcome you to our Fresh Start conversation because as a mental health practitioner, I believe your mental health is very important. Somehow we tend to think that our physical health is more important than our mental health, but that's not the case. Today's guest is a mental health champion. After battling years of mental health challenges, I can't wait to share this story with you today. Hi, and welcome. Today I have a great conversation with somebody who calls himself a mental health champion. As a mental health practitioner, I can't wait to share this conversation with you. So let's get into it. Welcome, Murage.
Thank you, Jackie.
Kindly just introduce yourself, what you do, and the titles of the mental health champion.
Okay, where do I introduce myself from? My name is Murage Gishoke.
Okay.
That's my official name, but I go by the brand name Magnus MG.
Okay.
There's a story behind that. MG is just Murage Gishoke, which is my initials. I'm actually a trained graphic designer by profession.
All right.
I'm a communication specialist, that's what I do.
Okay.
And I'm a consultant, so I run my own business where I create communication for different brands, including some of the biggest brands in Kenya, which I've done. Right now I'm working on my own brands.
Okay.
So that's what I do for profession.
All right.
I'm also a mental health champion, having gone through a number of challenges in my life, last almost 10 plus years. I decided this time to speak up about some of my challenges to help other people to also understand where they are and to be able also to speak out.
And that is why I really got interested in us having this conversation, because you've actually shared your journey of mental health and how you have overcome it. Where did this journey begin for you?
Wow. It's had years back, I'd say.
Yeah.
I started having challenges with how I used to perceive things and how I used to, just feel things. Late, probably 2005, probably 2007, when I was going also through a very tough relationship, and things were not working out the way I wanted them to work out. And I realized I had issues that would hinder me from moving forward, be able to think properly, to be able to just do some certain things normally.
Yeah.
However, when my dad passed away in 2009, that was a very tough time for me, and I didn't deal with a lot of that trauma. My dad died in my arms, basically. When we were taking him to hospital, my sister and my mom, and he died in the car. So it was we were in a taxi, and he died right in front of me. And I had to take him to the morgue, and it was a really tough time for me. I did that all alone because my sister and my mother were in the hospital.
Okay.
And I had to deal with all that myself at that age. And it was a very trying time. I never kind of dealt with it until about 2014, 2015.
That was how many years later?
I was probably 5 years.
So you were just doing life, but there's this compartment that is so significant you hadn't dealt with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't really get to deal with it. There was a lot of pain that I hid from that. There was a lot of... I have a photographic memory, so a lot of things remained in my head and kept playing and replaying and replaying and replaying. Every time I used to go to sleep, I used to see his face, there lifeless, me taking him to the morgue, me taking him to, trying to get him to, in traffic, trying to drive him from one side of town to the other side of town, and he's dead right in front of me. It was something that kept replaying back in my mind. Looking back, I'm grateful that I was there, and I always say I'm grateful that God chose me to be there for him.
Yeah.
And he died, while he was in my care.
Yeah.
I'm a last one in my family, so it's not that I was the first one to do it. I was just the one who was available at that particular point to be there with him while he passed on. And later on, I really thanked God for that opportunity, and I thanked God that my dad was able to pass on his life peacefully.
Yes.
And in the care of us who
Family,
loved him.
yeah.
Family who loved him. So that's how I dealt with it later
Okay.
on. It was very difficult, but later on I just accepted it. I said that was God's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the mental health issues that you have had to deal with?
I've had to deal with terrible, terrible, terrible depression. Terrible depression to a point of wanting to commit suicide.
Oh.
3 times over several years. Because of the voices in my head, the things happen in my head, the inability to cope with life at that point. And an inability to think straight, inability to concentrate, inability to read, inability to use a phone. I've gone through terrible depression. It was very, very hard for me. At some point, I was also using some drugs because it was really, really hard.
Okay. When you say some drugs, it means medication?
Medication and no medication, so both drugs. Well,
okay.
I wouldn't say it was hard drugs, but I had to try and see how to use herbal drugs to try and help me to cope with some of the things. But I dropped that habit and I stayed on to the actual medication from hospital. But that was a very, very, very difficult journey for me.
So when you talk about the hospital, it means that you went for diagnosis?
Yes, I did.
Did it take you time to actually realize that I'm having mental health issues? Did you know? Were you aware at that time? Or it took a lot of time before you went to actually get a doctor to support you?
Well, yes, it did take time, number one. The thing about us who, like for me, I was really in denial on a lot of things. Because a lot of these things happened all the way back from 2010, you can imagine, 2007. I went through my first marriage. That was really, really difficult, breakup, really, really difficult. I got married young. So 2007, we divorced. That was really, really hard. I started from scratch again, absolutely scratch. I started with the clothes on my back and left everything. Walked away from that. And then in 2011, got into another relationship, and it was really hard. I think for me the reprieve was 2012 when my daughter was born, and I was in the second relationship. Then I went through a very, very hard journey, career in the place I used to work at. One of the biggest agencies in Kenya. It's terrible. Terrible, I would say this, and I say it with all power and all grace, that it was a very terrible time to be suffering from anything mental health, because they did not support that. They made it difficult. We were mocked, we were laughed at, or I was laughed at, and I was not given any kind of support.
At work?
Yes, not given any kind of support. The pressure was too much to handle. And I'm not speaking not just about myself, even many other people who struggled. Hopefully that situation is changing now. I'm not there anymore, but hopefully that changes. So there was a lot of things, and then so the work was tough. I really going through a breakup. My dad had died before. Then in 2015, I was doing business. Things started going okay, and I started building my business, and things started going really well for me because I left that job and went straight into entrepreneurship. I've always been an entrepreneur, so I just decided to go back so I can manage my time.
Okay, but by this time, have you gotten support?
I've not gotten support.
You are doing all these things?
Yes.
Are you aware that I'm having a mental health issue? Or
no.
You're just feeling like life is difficult?
Mwanaume, nilikaza tu, and then you tell yourself, I'd been having bad dreams. I remember from 2010 all the way to 2017, I used to have night sweats. I used to have night terrors. I used to have terrible nightmares. The partner I was with then used to mock me about them. Used to tell me, at night I was making noise, I was screaming, or probably, I was speaking in my sleep. And I'd wake up with night terrors, wake up sweating, and I was really trying to deal with it. And it was really embarrassing because the more you're told, you know, unapiga makelele usiku, you're making noise at night.
Yeah.
You know, stop making noise at night.
This is also part of mental health.
This is also part of mental health.
The night terrors.
Night terrors, nightmares, anxiety attacks, panic attacks.
Yeah.
Not being able to speak, you know, to a camera like this, not being able to talk to people, not being able to understand what's happening at that point. And then there's so much happening in your head. Not being able to concentrate. I would not be able to concentrate on things for more than probably 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then I would feel very anxious about being in spaces with people or close-up spaces. So I'd want to just do my thing and get out and be left alone.
Are you aware that you're ill at that time?
I was not aware.
Okay.
Again, I was mocked a lot. I was told, wacha kujifanya, stop pretending, man up. You know, I was told all the things that people are told when they're going through mental health challenges. Yeah. You know, you're pretending, you're, you know, man up when you're a man. What are you talking about? You know, do what you need to do. You know, you know, some days I'd have terrible. In fact, insomnia was one of the biggest things, because when you have night terrors, you can't sleep. Yeah. And then you have to wake up in the morning to go to work or to go and do your business and to do what. So it's a cycle. Yeah. So you end up having 2 hours, maybe an hour sleep, sometimes 24 hours without sleep, 24 hours, you'd go more than 24 hours without sleep. Then it starts affecting how you behave, it starts affecting your productivity, it starts affecting your relationships. And even without speak about it with the partner I was with, I was mocked, I was, you know, nothing much concrete came from it. 2017 is now when I realized a lot of problems. When I went into business, I was still in business, and we were doing a business with some partners. I had different businesses, so different businesses had some partners and another different businesses, some partners, and at the same time, those businesses came crashing down. So I was a partner here, and I was a partner here, and I had my own business, and so all of them came crashing down. Yes, and at the same time, the partner who I was with, you know, mocked me and you know, decided to up and leave me. Yeah. In the middle of, you know, trying to get help. You know, and that's when I crashed. And one day, I remember I was sitting with my partners in the office, and we were having a challenge about money. It was some money had got lost, and we were really trying to deal with that. And I had solutions, and I told them, this is what I want us to do, but no one was listening to me. And I got very frustrated, and I couldn't hear it. We had a board meeting. I couldn't listen to anything they were saying. I left the room. I went downstairs, and so much was happening in my head. And I told myself, if I go home today, which is not a safe space, my partner does not want to hear about me, doesn't want to be around me. My other partners, business partners, don't want to be around me. If I go home today, I'm going to commit suicide. So I called a cab, and the cab came. I didn't even know where I was going. When he came, I told him, please take me to Aga Khan. And he took me to Aga Khan. I remember one thing, when I kept going there, tears were streaming down my eyes. I was calling a friend of mine, and I told him, I'm going to Aga Khan. And they asked me what's wrong, and I told them, if I go home today, I'm going to kill myself. So you told somebody? Yes, I told a friend of mine. Yeah. So was that the day that things shifted for you? That's the day things shifted. That's the day things shifted completely. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking that's the day that you also accepted, I have a problem. Yes. Yes. That's the day, because what I really felt was I was really trying hard with my own strength. And you know, you're in the midst of men and people who you think are your friends, and they'll tell you is, man up, watch your ujinga, stop being foolish, stop you know, being weak. You know, you're a man, why are you showing weakness? Why you slept until what time? How do you mean, how do you sleep? You know, and people would mock me when I tell them, you know, I can't wake up, I'm tired. I had night terrors. They tell me, when you're a child, why are you having nightmares? You know. And so I really held down a lot. And men, we're like that. Our egos are really bigger than our you rarely wisdom. Talk about mental health issues. We don't talk about it. And I think that is why I really applaud you for talking about it, because men we generally, as Africans, we rarely talk about it. Yes. But now, for men more, they really don't talk about it. So I really thank you for having this conversation and talking about it. My pleasure. So basically, you tried it on your own for how many years before you let in a doctor? 10 plus, about 10 plus years. I think it's a shame, number one.
Yes.
The shame of I could be going crazy.
Yeah.
The shame of I'm losing control. The shame of I would tell you something that sometimes I'd wake up in the morning and I look at my phone and I don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Or I'm shaking so much that I can't hold my phone. I can't even make a call to you. Or my voice is so shaky, I can't deal with my boss, or I can't deal with a client, or I can't understand why.
Yeah.
So what happens is that it pushes down your self-esteem, actually lose your self-esteem. The ego that you were trying so much to protect vanishes. It's like air, it just goes, you know. And then you have to still face the world. You still have to go to office, you have to still face clients. You still have to work with your partner. The partner who is, you know, who I was with that time, my spouse. I have to still do chores, you know, for example, run errands. I still have to drive. And it was really difficult. It was really trying to hold everything together, and the voices and everyone telling you, man up, man up, man up. Who are you? When you are the only one with problems. In fact, I remember one of the biggest things I was told was, you're not the only one with problems. So hold it down, you know. So I tried it on my own the best I could until that particular day when we had a board meeting, and I said, if I do go home today,
I'll die.
I'm going to kill myself. I can't listen to these voices anymore in my head.
How was that experience now? When you saw the doctor, how different was it?
I walked into Aga Khan. You walk into the triage, they do your pressure and everything. They asked me what's wrong. I told them I just want to see a doctor. And immediately I walked now in to see the GP. The first thing he asked me, sit down, what brings you here today? And I told him, I was dressed. Remember, I was coming from the office. I'd just come from a meeting, so I was very well dressed. Asked me, what brings you here today? And I told him, I want you to admit me. I want you to admit me today, because if you don't, I'm going to kill myself.
That's what you said?
That's exactly what I told him.
Wow.
And he asked me what's wrong, and I told him this is what's happening. I have insomnia, I've not slept for the last 2 days. I'm having problems in my business, I'm having problems in my marriage. I can't hold it together, and if you don't admit me, I'm going to kill myself. So he immediately he called a specialist, 2 other specialists, and they gave me a space. You know, of course, in the hospital, they, put you aside and tell you just have a seat and sleep. Actually, put me on a separate side and like a bed I could sleep on. And I remember when the specialist came, I couldn't even talk to them. Just tears streaming down my eyes.
I can't imagine what that point is.
It was terrible. One thing I say is I never wanted any woman to see me do that.
The ego is still knocking.
Luckily, the doctor was a man. Well, the doctor, it was both. I'll be honest with you. I had both, doctors who were male and female, and I was not scared to talk about it. I was not scared to just release and say, this is where I am, this is how I feel, this is what I was planning to do. I've been feeling like this for so long. I just feel like everything has crashed. And one thing I'd tell people is that do not be afraid to speak about what you're feeling to a healthcare professional, a doctor, whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter. Never be afraid, because they will not tell your secrets, number one. And they have empathy enough to understand how to deal with you from a medical perspective. They won't judge you. They won't tell you man up. They won't tell you unajifanya. You're pretending. They won't tell you that it's all in your head. The things that most people, ordinary people, will tell you, iko kwa kichwa tu. Just stop thinking about it. Switch it off. Just man up. A doctor wouldn't tell you that.
But also to add on what you're saying, somebody said we are as sick as our secrets. So every time you put that secret, that the way you are feeling, there's something wrong with me, but you still show up out here like you're okay. Every day. I think that was harder. It makes you sicker and sicker. And I'm glad you got to that point, your low point, that decided, you know what, I'm not going home, I'm going to the hospital. And you were actually able to get doctors who really, really supported you because they listened.
That's all I needed. I just needed someone to listen and say, we believe you. We believe you.
We get what you're saying.
Now we're going to help you. That's the next stage.
So you got support?
I got support from the doctors. I actually was admitted for that same night. And I was admitted for about almost 2 weeks in a mental ward. Right? Terrible experience.
Yeah. What was terrible?
Seeing other people who are also going through the same thing, and people who are really struggling.
Yeah.
The same way I was struggling, but worse.
Yeah.
Seeing people having, to be put in a cage. I would call it a cage, or a strong room.
Yeah.
So that they can calm down for a full 24 hours. That was really tough.
Yeah.
That was the first time. So then,
was it tough that you are also looking at yourself and saying, I'm also here?
I'm also here.
I'm also part of
I'm
this.
also with them.
Yeah. Was that
that was
hard
tough
to swallow?
Yes, it was hard to swallow. And it was hard to swallow. I had to just look back and say, what made me get here? I did not deny that I was exactly like them. We were in the same space. Actually, I made some very good friends from there, and I have very good friends up to today. That was 2018. I made some very good friends from there in the mental psych ward, which is it's very interesting. Guys who I speak to up to today. Yeah. But it was hard to see different people suffering from struggling with different things. Some of them is drug related, some of them is just mental related, stress of life. Genetics probably.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard.
Okay.
That was the first time I was in a psych ward ever. It's the first time I was given medicine to be able to calm me down.
Yeah. Did it feel different?
Yes, terribly different. Terribly. I don't advocate. I wouldn't. There was no good experience. It helped me to calm down, but it also dulled me. I'm a creative.
Oh, yeah.
So sitting around all day and eating food is not my thing. I want to be out there, I want to create.
So it calmed everything, even the good.
Even the good.
Yes, yeah.
And eventually now it starts working against you. And it's just for everybody, because it's not just for me as a creative. Anybody who is, wants to go out and do things. And remember, I was in business, I'm an entrepreneur, so not being able to leave the house. And remember, after I went to, I did that first, and then I did that, the psych ward. Then I was admitted back in Aga Khan, and I stayed there for a couple of days, and about 12 plus days, I think about 12 plus days. And they did a procedure called ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. I chose to do it. I elected to do it.
You were given options?
I was given options. Either I had drugs that I was going to take for a period of time, and then I was told about it, and I'd read about it. Kierere too. So I chose to do it. It was not recommended by the doctor, but they proposed that they also do it to their clients. And it's very simple. They put a charge, negative and a positive charge, and they shock your brain. And they shock you. They put a bit in you so you don't bite yourself, and they shock your brain. And they do that 6 times.
6 times in 6 sessions? In
6 sessions. So this one day skip a day, one day skip a day, one day skip a day. So it's about 12 days. And you're under at that point. So you're under general anesthesia. So you go into a theater, lights, everything, and anesthesia, and they take you under and then shock you. Now the side effects are they're bad. First day I probably didn't remember anything. I couldn't even remember people who I know. I couldn't remember them by name.
Amnesia. You get like
complete short-term, short-term memory loss. Now imagine you're doing 6 of them.
Yeah.
So first night, so it became so bad. By the time I left hospital after those 12, 14 days, I remember I couldn't imagine. I was holding my phone and I didn't know how to use it.
You had no idea?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
By the time I got home, I was asking, I was trying to see how do I use this thing? I didn't even know. I didn't know where the buttons were. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what to do with it. So what happens is, again, immediately self-esteem, and you start shaking, and you start sweating, and you start crying, and you don't know why you're crying. And by that time, then you have to take the medicine, which now dulls you again. So you were
combining both?
Yes.
Because the medication was still there? The
medication now was there, direct from the hospital. And it's difficult because you sit all day, you eat When you sit all day, everyone knows who's been through the curfew now from December, from January, from March. If you sit and eat all day, you're going to add weight. So you add weight. You're on meds that don't allow you to think. They really dull you. The things that you loved doing. This was even before the things that you loved doing. I loved music. I loved creating. I loved just being, an open person and just going out and being there. All those things faded away. I was the kind of person I'd close my windows. I don't want to even see the light in the morning. When I'm supposed to be waking up is when I want to sleep, and I don't want light. I'll stay in bed the whole day, and I won't leave bed, and I won't shower. I won't talk to anyone. My daughter is there. It was really, really difficult, and I had to start teaching her how to use the phone to help me.
Okay.
Or not even teaching her. I had to, give her the phone. Children are very smart.
Yeah.
So this, she started trying to get her way around my phone. When it rings, I tell her, please pick it for me. Yeah. And she pick it, and hi.
So when did you get your balance?
A couple of weeks in, I think, no, actually a month plus in is when I kind of started getting my balance. And I was itching to get back to work. To the field businesses, to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
But it was really hard. It was really, really hard. But I actually did. I went back. A friend of mine gave me a chance to work with him again on a big project, which I did. I did it for 3 months.
Was this now with medication still?
With
or
medication,
now
yes.
With medication, you were able to still find your balance now?
Yes. Although we had a lot of back and forth with the doctor about the medication.
The consultation and just seeing how you're being affected with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Every 2 weeks I'd go to the hospital to collect new drugs, to be diagnosis and collect new drugs. And what happened was, at some point I told the doctor, I'm not taking specific drugs because they make me feel a specific way. Yeah. These ones make me feel too drowsy, these ones make me feel too dull. Okay. So it was a concoction, they have to keep changing it. And she had given me bipolar meds and depression meds and sleeping pills, and it was a whole mood stabilizers, a lot of things. And at some point I told the doc, I can't handle all this. You've got to decide. I have to stay with specific things. I've got to sleep, number one, and I've got to have my mood up. And anything else I don't want. It was a big fight to the doctor, of course, but she did the best she can as a professional, and she advised me on what I need to take, and I stuck with that. I went back to work. I went back to consultancy. 3 months in, I relapsed now. Yeah. Okay.
Was there a trigger, or is it just part of the journey?
I triggered. Well, the doctor had told me I might relapse. Yeah. Especially if I go back to work and go and exert myself, number one. Yeah. And then at the same time, my relationship was really, really bad. Yeah. I was being mocked about how I was feeling. She didn't care about me. I used to spend nights and days alone in that house. I spent a lot of time alone. Okay. Without any kind of form of care, duty of care from her.
So relapsing means that even with the medication, you still...
Yes. One day I woke up, one day I left the office, we had a party, my friend had a party, and I was there until midnight. First and foremost, I don't drink. I stopped drinking this is 2020, I stopped drinking 7 years ago. So I'm not a person who indulges in alcohol. And that was one of the reasons, because I used to drink alcohol and I go crazy. I don't know myself. Gari itafika nyumbani. You know those things that men say. It's very foolish. Gari najua nyumbani. The car knows the home. But those are foolish things. I used to get home. Then one day I decided I'm done with alcohol. Okay. It was a very bad night, and that's how I stopped alcohol. So that night I went home and I told him I'm not feeling well. I actually was not feeling very well. Just my body chemistry. I just didn't feel well. It was a full day of work. I was tired, and I just told him I'm not feeling well. So I got home. I told him I've got home. I couldn't drive. Actually, from the time I went into hospital to the time I left, I never drove a car again because hands are shaking and ability to focus, ability to drive was just not there. So the doctor advised me, and I stopped driving completely. And I preferred it that way, because then I would sit with my thoughts and not have the pressure of Nairobi traffic, Nairobi drivers, matatus, you know,
Decisions.
those decisions, they're hard to make all the time, you know. So I'd prefer to stay, you know, be driven. So I went home, I got home, I told him I've gotten home. I tried to call my partner, she was not available. I told her, you know, I'm not feeling too well. Again, we had been together through that whole 2-year journey. She really didn't care much. And it was really devastating me. It really devastated me, especially that night that I needed her. And the next morning, I don't know what happened, because I found myself in a psych ward again. After a day, that 2 days is when I realized I'm back in a psych ward.
Okay. You don't know how you got there?
I don't know how I got there, but my bro is the one who took me there.
Okay.
It's not even her. My bro took me there. I found myself actually in a strong room. I woke up, I slept on my bed, and the next time I woke up, I was in a strong room, little tiny room, caged with, sort of tiny room with padded room. And I was sitting on the floor, I'd peed on myself, there was pee all over, there was a mattress, and I was so confused how I got there.
Yeah.
And I was banging the door and I was telling them to let me get out, and they were telling me, you know, calm down. So I had to stay there for another probably 8 hours. And that really, you know, it really hurt me, you know, because I told myself, how did I get here? I was, yesterday, in fact, they told me, it was not yesterday, in fact, you were there on Friday. Today is when, I think it was there on Wednesday, today is Friday. And I tried to figure out why I'm back here again, because I was taking the medication. Of course, as doctor had prescribed, I was taking the medication, or the medication the doctor had given, but there were too many triggers.
Okay.
That, you know, and I'd probably exerted myself, but there were also too many triggers and hit proper rock bottom.
But did you finally now, have you finally now known how to keep the balance?
Yes.
And you're more aware
of
you and your mental health?
Yes, I'm more aware now. I would say even to do this interview, I had to really think about it. Because I've been doing a couple of them and they trigger me a lot.
Okay.
Because it takes me back and I have to think. And because I have a photographic memory, whenever I talk about it, I see myself back in the situation. And I remember the feeling, I remember what was happening, and it triggers me. Okay. So I took a break actually since August. I took a break. So August, September, I've not done anything. August actually. And I told myself the next time I'm going to come in, and that's why I accepted to do yours. It's got to be something that I'm going to speak from power and not speak from that place. Okay. And hopefully I can be able to touch someone's life and help them to be able to speak up, especially someone going through mental health, and understand that the challenges you're going through, if just speaking up about them can be able to get you, number one, the help you need, and number two, you can be able to help someone else move from the place of denial for themselves into a place of help also for themselves. So
and that is actually the purpose of this show, to actually support somebody else who is going through the same experience that you have talked about. What is your message today for somebody who is going, let's not even start with somebody who is going through mental health issues. I think as a society we really do not know about mental health. And that is why when we have physical health issues, we have compassion, we know we can go to the doctor. Look at how long it took you to go to the doctor. It's because as a society we have not embraced that our mental health is actually as important as our physical health. The way we take care of it, the way we can go to the doctor for the physical health, is the same way we need to actually also do for our mental health.
Exactly.
Yes. And also as a society, because we do not know that, we do not know how to, we don't have compassion for people with mental health. I am so sorry that you went through that process in the relationships that you had, and maybe you feel like they were not there because they do not know how to be there. You know, we don't know mental health. Maybe they also do not know how to be there. And as a society, we don't know how to be there for people, family members, loved ones who are going through mental health. That is why we say man up, it's in your head, you know, all those things that we are throwing around. What is your advice to the society, especially about people suffering with mental health?
What I'd tell people right now, anyone listening to this who know someone, or even if you don't know someone who might encounter someone who's going through
Yeah.
any mental health issues
Yes.
or challenges, I will call them challenges because that's what they are, is number one, it is your responsibility to have duty of care.
Yeah.
Number one.
As a human being.
As a human being. It is your responsibility to love that person, regardless of what they are going through. And by love, I don't mean necessarily that you have to send them M-Pesa. I have to give them money. I just mean that it is your duty of care to show them compassion.
Yeah.
And I know this I've said before, and I'll say it again because people have had this said again. Former bosses told me this. My partner told me this, and it was so bad. People say, "No one owes you anything." No. You, as a human being, owe the other person, whether you know them or not, the humanity, the duty of care, to understand what they're going through and direct them to the right place. If that's the most you can do and tell them, okay, I'll take you to hospital, then that's the best you could do.
Because I don't understand it, I'll take you to somebody who may understand it.
And it is also important to understand the words we use and how we speak about people with mental health challenges. A lot of us who are going through mental health challenges take words very deeply. Myself, I take words very deeply and I listen very carefully to what people say. And the words that was thrown my way were very hurtful, you know, by people who I thought were very close, who I thought would care for me, who thought would love me. I'd say be very careful. There's nothing else that you're going to tell someone, who's going through mental health issues. Just tell them 3 words. I care about you.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 words. I care about you.
Yeah.
That's it. And then do what you need to do. Because I say, saying that no one owes you anything is saying that you should yourself live on an island with absolutely nobody to take care of you, no children, no spouse, nothing. Saying that is saying everyone should live on their own island. And which is wrong. We can't live on our own island. We are human beings. We are social beings. We should be able to take care of each other and help each other move from one spot to another. Okay. Even animals, dogs, cats, horses, cows, elephants have duty of care.
Of each other.
Of each other.
Good. I think that's great. And what about somebody who is actually going through this mental health challenges? What can you advise them? And I think I will add, especially to men, because men actually, they don't open up, they don't talk about it. And somebody could be watching this and they're suffering in silence because they're manning up. Yeah, what's your advice?
I'll tell them, don't take your life, number one, because that's the first part most men would run to.
Yeah.
Is to take your life. When the chips are down and everything has fallen apart, when your marriage has fallen, your business has fallen, when no one is listening to you, when you've been mocked, when you've been trodden down, beaten, and when everything has just gone wrong as a man, most men would run to suicide. And suicides are, around the world, most suicides, actually the statistics show that most suicide, about 70% of suicides are men, meaning that men are the ones who take their own lives first before they decide to do something else. And I would tell any man right now, do not take your life. Number 2, seek professional help. If there's nowhere else that you're going to do it, in fact, I'll say this with all love for my fellow sisters and women, and I'll tell this to men, if you do not want to talk to a woman because you feel like your ego may be hurt, or that you don't want to cry in front of a woman, because we're men, we have feelings. We're not animals, we're not stones. Okay, not even animals cry, we're not stones. If you don't want to show your emotion in front of a woman, please go to a hospital. Because a healthcare professional, a woman or a man, will help you, and they won't judge you. And I tell men, this is now, again, with all compassion to men and also to understanding to women. For men, we don't like to cry in front of women. So I will not tell a man to cry in front of a woman. I won't. Only people you're supposed to cry in front of as a man is your mother, your sister. Do not cry in front of your wife or your girlfriend.
But I might disagree, but it's okay.
No, because our egos are terrible. So I know if I tell a man to cry in front of his girlfriend, his wife, it might not go too well for you.
They might not do it anyway.
They might not do it. Number
Okay.
2, they'll hold it in. Number 3, it might not go well for them. Cry in front of your mother, cry in front of your sister. If she's your relative, yes. But if she's not your relative, please don't cry in front of her. And if you must do it with all intention and thought that you won't get mocked.
Space.
It's a safe space.
Yes, I think it is a safe space.
It needs to be extremely safe space.
Yes.
And I say that's why I said with all compassion, because I know when I say it, men just say ata sitalia, wacha tu ikae,
Oh, so afadhali nisiseme.
Wacha niseme afadhali,
Okay.
let me not say it, and then makes the compounds the issue.
Makes it worse.
And once men we swallow that thing, it'll be 2 years, 3 years before we talk about it again.
Yeah.
So why not just cry in front of someone then who will understand a safe space and let it out and let it go and move on.
Yeah.
Then feel here I'm not in a safe space, and then swallow it, and then those problems continue for another 3-4 years, and they compound and become worse.
Yeah.
So do it in a safe space. If your wife is a safe space, great. If your girlfriend is a safe space, great. But if they're not, don't.
Okay. I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really, really thank you for being brave
in
talking about this subject that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your experience. I pray that after this interview, we've not triggered you.
No.
Yeah, that you have found your balance and you'll find your balance. Do you want people to contact you, people to reach out to you, if at all that's something that you're open to? Because I know you do a lot of, every day you give us a motivation talk. And it keeps us going every day of the week. That is commitment. So if people want to get you, reach you, how can they do that?
You can reach me on my Facebook page is Magnus MG. My IG is Magnus MG Sensei. So just look for Magnus MG, you'll find it. Okay. You can drop me an inbox, you can drop me a line there. I'm not open a lot to calls. I hardly do calls.
That's okay.
Phone calls, because there are many reasons why. Most of the time I'm doing something, so I don't like doing too many things at the same time. But I'm open to chats and inboxes, and anyone who reaches out to me, especially with any challenge, mental health challenge, male or female, it doesn't matter, man or woman, it doesn't matter. I'll always direct them to the right place. I always show them, and I always make a few calls to be able to help them to move to the next space, because I know how hard it is for them to do that. They're safe when they come and talk to me about it, and I'll always direct them to a mental health professional or a professional who will help them, whether it's a doctor or someone else who will be able to take them forward to the next space. So reach me on that. You're open to reach me on that anytime, and I'm open to. I'm happy to be able to help you to move to the next stage. Don't hide your challenge. Don't hide behind the face, behind social media and pretend that you're okay. Don't hide and try and say everything is okay. If it's not okay, reach out to me. I'll understand, and I'll be able to help you to move to the next space. Whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Yeah, awesome. I believe that being a mental health champion means that we'll be able to fight beyond what we can be able to do. So I'm happy doing it every single day of my life.
And thank you a lot for creating that safe space. Thank you for sharing this with us. And you've had it. Magnus MG has created a safe space that if you need support, you can actually reach out to him with a line or two. And also, if you know anyone who actually needs to watch this, don't forget to share it with them. Don't forget to have these conversations with them. So thank you guys, and see you in the next video.